Welcome back to another episode of the Wellness Inspired Podcast, a place where you can find inspiration, motivation, and empowerment in the pursuit of a wellness lifestyle. I'm your host, Sherry Davidson. I'm a wellness coach, acupuncturist, trail runner, and former interior designer in Houston, Texas, and I am deeply passionate about health and well-being. And as always, I'm here with my co-host, Finn. And if you're new to the podcast, Finn is my terrier mixed rescue dog, trail runner, and loyal companion. He is also a therapy dog and greeter at Element 5 Acupuncture and Wellness. And I am super excited about today's episode. It's been a while since I've done any content on design. You all know that I was a former interior designer in Houston, mostly corporate design, did some residential, but not something I'm doing a lot of these days, but I still have a great appreciation for it and have taken a huge interest over the years in well design. And lately, I have been thinking a lot about the spaces we live in, not just how they look, but how they support us. Because wellness isn't only about what we do, it's also about what we're constantly responding to. So we are going to have some fun, and I'm going to do a series on well design. And over the next few episodes, I'm going to explore how our environments quietly shape how we live and feel, often more than the habits we're trying to build. We talk a lot about routines, discipline, and consistency in wellness. We talk about what to eat, how to move, how to manage stress, and how to be more intentional. But we don't always talk about the conditions those habits are trying to survive in. Our homes, our workspaces, our neighborhoods, and the sensory overload of everyday life. So in this episode, the first episode in the series, I want to start with a simple idea. Nice design isn't just decoration. It's part of how we live well. Are you ready? All right, let's jump in. For a long time, design has been framed as something extra, luxury, style, taste, trends, something you worry about once real life is handled. But when you actually look at how people move through their day, design isn't about how a space photographs. It's about how life moves through it. Can you rest there? Can you focus? Can you move easily? And does the space support your energy or quietly drain it? That's what good design is really answering. I have felt this personally for a long time in my own home, how a space can quietly support how you live when it's set up to do that. I live in a restored 1930s apartment in Houston, Texas, and I have been here for 14 years. And truly, I can't get enough of it. And over time, I've made it mine in ways that feel deeply personal. If you walk into my space, there is absolutely no doubt whose home it is. It reflects who I am, how I live, and what matters most to me. My apartment is filled with light, and I have many windows, which is very unusual for an apartment, and they flood the space throughout the day. But what I notice most is how the light changes. Softer in the morning, bright and full during the day, warm and low in the evening. And that shift changes how I feel in each part of my day. It's not dramatic, it's supportive. It makes the space feel alive. Now, I'm ready to upgrade the vibe a bit, refresh it, and let it evolve, but it's still very much me. And that sense of identity hasn't faded. It's only grown. When I travel, I always bring a piece of art back with me. I'm running out of space, but I always manage to squeeze something else in here. But it's not as decoration, it's as a memory. Each piece reminds me of a place I've been, an experience I had, and a season of my life that mattered. My home holds my stories. And all of my healthy living stuff is here too, but thoughtfully integrated, yoga mats tucked neatly into a basket, a vertical bike rack that turns my tri bike and mountain bike into functional art, and medals from past races are gathered in glass jars. Photos from trail races I've traveled to, and pictures of good friends, shared experiences, moments that all shaped me. Nothing is hidden, nothing feels chaotic. I've made a very comfortable home for myself, one that supports how I actually live. It's not just the apartment either. Like I said, I have been in this building for a long time, 14 years, and so have many of my neighbors. People stay. It's familiar, there's community, and that sense of continuity matters more than we often realize. My home is also about location. I'm about 1.5 miles from my clinic. There's a park within walking distance where I run regularly. And I'm not far from another park called Memorial Park where I meet friends and we run together. So everything I need to move through my day is super close. And that closeness also matters more than people realize. My environment supports my rhythms, movement, work, connection, recovery. And none of this happened by accident. And this is where design quietly does its best work. I think a lot about friction, those small, constant moments where something feels just a little harder than it needs to be. Poor lighting that makes evenings feel restless. A cluttered entryway that greets you with decisions the moment you walk in the door. A workspace that never quite lets you settle. And a kitchen that makes cooking feel like a chore before you even started. None of these things feel dramatic on their own, but I'll tell you they add up. And when they add up, even the most well-intentioned wellness practice starts to feel heavy. And this is where design quietly matters. Not in big gestures, but in how it removes unnecessary strain or friction from daily life. So think about it this way. If you're trying to build a morning routine, but your bedroom is dark and cluttered and your coffee setup is buried behind things that you have to move every single day, that's not a discipline problem. That's a design problem. You're spending energy before you've even begun. One of the design styles that I have a great appreciation for is from the Nordic culture. And if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, I have done, I think, at least 2 episodes on hygge, which is a Nordic design concept. So you have to go back and check out those episodes. But one of the things I really appreciate about their design is that it's never been about excess or showing off. It's about livability, function, light, durability, and ease. Homes are designed for long winters, changing seasons, and real human needs. And I also have done an episode on Japanese wooden houses you should go back and listen to, because they also design for the seasons. But let's get back to Nordic. So light is treated as essential, not decorative. Simplicity is functional, not performative. And spaces are created to support everyday rhythms, meals, rest, gathering, and recovery. Not perfection, real life. One of the things I appreciate the most about Nordic approaches to living is that they don't pretend life is the same year-round. Spaces change with the seasons. Energy expectations change with the seasons. Homes are allowed to be quieter in the winter, more open in the summer, more enclosed when the world outside feels harsh. This concept you can also find in traditional Chinese medicine. We eat within the seasons. Very esoteric acupuncture, they treat within the seasons. We are part of nature and we should follow the same rhythm as nature. There is no expectation that life should feel the same all the time, whether you're talking about Chinese medicine or Nordic approaches to living. And that matters because our environments quietly teach us what's allowed. When a space is designed for rest, we rest more easily. When it's designed for productivity or appearance, we feel the pressure, even when no one's watching. And this isn't just a cultural observation. There's research out of Denmark from the Happiness Research Institute showing that satisfaction with our homes and neighborhoods play a meaningful role in our overall life satisfaction. Not because spaces are fancy and not because they're perfect, but because they reduce friction. They make daily life feel more manageable, more steady, more livable. And when you think about it, that tracks with what most of us actually want. We're not looking for a magazine-worthy home. We're looking for a space that lets us breathe a little easier at the end of the day. And this brings me to something I think we often misunderstand in wellness. We tend to treat ease like indulgence, as if making life easier means we're doing less, trying less, or lowering standards. But I see ease differently. Ease is a form of care to me. It doesn't mean life is simple. It doesn't mean you're avoiding effort. It means your environment isn't working against you. When your environment supports you, your energy can be spent on living, not managing. Rest doesn't feel like a task. Consistency feels more natural, and presence becomes possible without forcing it. And that doesn't mean life becomes effortless. It means you're no longer fighting your surroundings. Think about what happens at the end of a long day. You told yourself you'd stretch or journal or just sit quietly for 10 minutes. But you walk in the door and the kitchen counter is covered. There's a pile of mail you haven't dealt with, and the couch is the only clear surface. So you sit down, scroll your phone, and the evening is gone. You didn't lack motivation. The space made the path of least resistance to something other than what you actually wanted to do. That's not a willpower problem. That's an integration problem, and it starts with the spaces we live in. This isn't about redesigning your home or following a trend. This isn't a design lesson. It's an invitation to notice. Where in your home or your neighborhood does life feel easy? Where does it feel subtly draining? And what parts of your environment are constantly asking something of you? So instead of asking, what habit should I add? You might ask, what is my environment already asking of me? And what would it feel like if it asked just a little less? Because sometimes the most supportive wellness shift isn't another habit. It's changing the conditions around you. Nice design isn't just decoration. It's part of how we live well. Well, that's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you enjoy the ones that are coming up. This is a 4-part series. So in the next episode, I will explore why some spaces make life feel a little easier than others and what that teaches us about living well in real life. Hope you join us here next time. Be well. Bye. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to the podcast and share with your family and friends. You can also give me a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcast. It helps others find me as well. To get updates on new episodes and wellness inspiration in your inbox, please join the Wellness Inspired community. Go to thewellnessinspiredpodcast.com to sign up. I'll put the link to the website in the show notes so you can click and join. Also, there's a Facebook community at The Wellness Inspired, and you can follow me on Instagram at wellness_inspired. If you're in the Houston area or just visiting and interested in our services, acupuncture, herbal medicine, cupping, zen shiatsu, or dry needling therapy, contact us. You can find out more on our website at element5om.com. That's element5om.com. And again, I'll put the link in the show notes. If you're interested in health and wellness coaching, we can connect in the clinic or on Zoom. Reach out to us and we'll get you on the schedule. And as always, I would love to hear your feedback. I am dedicated to bringing you great content that is inspiring and informative with an artsy, fun, edgy spin. Thank you so much for listening. We'll meet here again next time. And remember, never stop exploring, learning, loving, and being you. Bye.